The setting is real. We shot it in a village 4 hours away from Kuala Lumpur. But of course, the story is fictional. But there are many elements in the story which is based on real happenings. Like uh, the core of the story is about this community moving a house. That itself is a tradition in Malaysia. Normally, people move houses for certain reasons. Sometimes, when the village is flooded, so they will move the house to a safer place. The house symbolizes something foreign in the community. It's like I imagine if it's in a group of ants and you suddenly put a different insect there and they will freak out, they will be running everywhere. So I needed something like that, a foreign element in the film. So I designed a house which is abandoned but also seems very foreign to the villages, because it's something that, in your community, that it's always been there. It's different, but you are never aware of it until you confront it. And that, in fact, there are a few other elements like that in the story, like the black guy, the African in the story. It's also kind of like you put someone in a very different environment, situation, and eventually, of course, the old man, the lead actor in the film, becomes one of these elements. The main ensemble, they are mostly professional actors, and of course the extras, the villagers, the group of people, the men that carry the house. They are all from the village, and they are non-actors. They are acting for the first time, and that was a big challenge to match them, non-actors and very professional actors. Sometimes if there is no balance, the actors might seem overacting, and then the amateurs, the non-actors might seem very, very raw. And so, but I think it's a blessing in this movie, because I found a balance through the entire moving house, because that tradition is it's an old tradition, and the value it brings to a community is very important for me. That's why I decided to put it in a film. It's called Gotong Royong. It means the spirit of togetherness. So this tradition is the best. It's something that highlight this spirit. Those are like a more superstitious kind of belief, which in villages sometimes we do still see people practicing that unofficially. Um, because for the longest time, uh, Malaysia, before the arrival of Islam, people were very much influenced by Hinduism, and that somehow still you can still trace back the practices from the olden days. Say a Muslim Malay wedding, where the bride and groom will sitting together. We call it bersanding. That's very Hindu practice. Asians particularly we are quite superstitious in many ways, and we believe in ghosts, and it's a lot of different kind of ghosts. A friend of mine, he's also a writer. He compiled a book that was inspired. I was inspired by the book, and that's why I put it in the film. There's this encyclopedia of ghosts, from A to Z. It's just different. There's a lot of ghosts in my country. Orang Minyak, the oily man, thematically it fits the story, because I have an African character, and then visually it's quite similar. And the film is about superstitions and how people, in a herd mentality, when something goes wrong, you go panic and you don't ask questions anymore. You just follow. I think the whole ghost and spirit world is quite interesting for me, and especially now that I write stories and screenplay and make films, and it's a very interesting element to be uh, um, put in my work. In fact, the new film that I'm working on also has this element in it. So I just find it very interesting because if you think about, okay, in this world is not just us, but there's something else. This is my second feature as a director and writer. I write most of my movies, the short films and these two feature films. I'm not good with languages and words, so even the screenplay is not fancy kind of writing. It's just like um, the actor, the actor goes from point A to point B. That's it. It's more important for me to figure out the plot of the story, the storyline, and what I want to say, metaphors, and the philosophy behind, if there is any. Most of my stories came from my experience, things that excite me, and things that make me happy, angry, yeah, um, and you can see some of this things in the movie are inspired by real people, real incidents, and all these are materials for me, and I do keep them. And when I start to work on a new film, sometimes I will take this experience out and put it in if it fits the concept of the story. A film was released late last year, theat- theatrically released, and it's now still playing in festivals. That's why I'm here. Um, it's it created quite a dialogue in Malaysia. People who commented on the film in a negative light is because they see, that I'm making fun of certain people, certain things, and well, but I think if you look at the film and you in a positive way, which my intention, which is my intention from the very beginning, it's not going to be sensitive, or there is nothing to be upset about.
Optimistic and
Yeah,
like
I mean there is a reason why I want to make films. I want to entertain people, the audience, yet I also want to say something. I think film is good, is a good medium to do that. That's reality for me. Even though what I what I make is always fictional, but there's a lot of realities in the film. I try to, you know, keep myself grounded to tell stories that I think matters to me. That's reality, and then I put in my kind of comedy in the film to hope. You know, I think film should be. Um, I want to make films that is watched by audience, and like I said, they get entertained too watching it. So I don't want to waste 2 hours of people's life just sitting there, and then like I wasted. I
forget.
Yeah. Um, so that's why it's important for me to think of the audience as well when I write. I have watched not that many Romanian films, but out of that 10 films, I think I can say that Romanian cinema is very strong, um, and
Dramatic.
I like Romanian sense of humor too, like Police Adjective, like East of
Piece of
Bucharest.
humor in
It's dry. It's very dry. It's very black. You hear everywhere you go, even in Malaysia, making films is so hard, so hard, so hard. It's a worldwide situation. But but then we constantly still want to make films, no matter how hard it is, and that is optimism. The death of Mr. Lazarescu, Beyond the Hills. I love his films, Christian's films, yeah, Minju's films. It's already, you can see like, wow, there's great cinema in Romania. Full stop. That's it. It's 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 one of the Romanian cinema. It's inspired me a lot. Yeah. When I made Lelaki Harapan Dunia, I constantly think about these few films that I watch. It's a very straightforward title, a bit sarcasm there, but a bit irony. There's is ironic there, but this title came from one of the dialogues in the film. But always when I'm working on something new, I always leave the title like I always name it something that is just something. Uh, as I'm just bad with namings. I don't know how to name my characters. I try not to think too much about winning or losing. For me, it's still very important to come here and to engage with the audience. And getting an award, it's nice. In fact, it's how I started with my first feature film. It went to some festivals and got some recognition, and that's how partially helped me to make my second feature. It's very important for directors like us when we new and is still, starting out. People need to know our work. That's why it's good to have recognition. But at the end of the day, it's you will still have to sit down and start from zero. It's good to be recognized always. I make films to be seen, to be talked about, to be discussed. That's one of the reasons why that keep me going. Because else is quite a lonely process, especially the writing process is like it's just you and you sitting there for months and months and months and so it's good that in filmmaking that I get to expose myself, especially have this sort of connection with other people, with my team, with my fellow actors, because I was professionally a 3D animator before. When I first graduated, I worked as a 3D animator, and it was fun in the beginning, but then after a while, you spend 8 hours or more stuck in the studio. Always is the lighting is dark and the air condition is too cold, and it's just you and the computer, and I did that for a few years, and I thought like, no, I have to stop this. I can't see myself doing this for long because I need to go out, look at the world and meet people, and filmmaking allows me to do that. Because nowadays, you step out from your house, sometimes you look at the weather, you look at the. It's because it's a habit. Sometimes when you go out to shoot, you have to consider many elements like this. So I like it because I feel like I'm closer to the world, closer to the environment when I make films. Before this, when I walked out on the street, I never even look up the sky. I was just constantly thinking about work and